He is Will Brinson, and we get to hang out. My man, first things first, how is the L.A. lifestyle treating you?
Jim, I don't know that lifelong North Carolina residents are designed to be dropped into L.A. for a week. I mean, look, it's awesome. I love the city.
Not everybody's built for it, brother.
Yeah, I like the city. There's too many people, and I'm not sure if I was supposed to use that express lane.
Are you surprised that there's a lot of people in L.A.?
No, I'm not shocked. But I mean, I got to tell you, I was driving here on the 110. And that would be one of them. That's not even the worst one, but that would be one of them. Yes. Is it?
My man, wait till I introduce you to the 405 and the 101. But yeah, the 110 can be tough.
Is it legal protocol to jump left into the express lane? Can you act like a hayseed and pretend like you didn't know?
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
That's right.
It's only cheating if you get caught. So,
exactly.
I mean, no, but if you can get away with it, why not?
Yeah, I'm not saying I did that. I'm just asking for future reference.
Give it a shot, man. Give it a shot. See how it goes for you. All right, so you are here. You're rocking your Super Bowl 50 jacket.
Von Miller, baby.
Yeah, man. There you go.
Tough loss for the Panthers.
Yeah. So why don't we start with the things that are getting you fired up? Today is Matthew Stafford's birthday, Will. So if the Rams win on Sunday, is he in fact, if they win, is he in your mind a Hall of Famer without doing anything else in his career?
So this is the thing that I think I started this, right? Like talking about it and pushing it a year ago when he was still in Detroit. And my whole take, Jim, is that if he wins a Super Bowl and he plays for 4 or 5 more years for the Rams, which I think is likely, let's say 3 or 4, worst case, 17-game schedule, 5,000 passing yards, 4,500 to 5,000 passing yards a season, his numbers with a Super Bowl ring and probably a Super Bowl MVP are going to be such that it's going to be impossible to keep him out. Now, if he wins on Sunday and then retires, right, I think that's a tougher case. And I know that the Pro Football Hall of Fame voters don't like to talk about guaranteed Hall of Fame guys, but I think if Stafford wins the Super Bowl, plays for 3 or 4 more years with the Rams, and ends up in that top 5, top 6 passing yardage, passing touchdowns, he's in. Matthew Stafford couldn't win playoff games because of the Lions. For attempt, just 1 interception in the playoffs. People said that the Lions couldn't win playoff games because of Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford couldn't win playoff games because of the Lions. This franchise ruined Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson. They don't win. They stink. You go to Detroit to lose, and Stafford put up with injuries. He put up with bad management. He put up with poor drafting. He put up with tons of stuff quietly, like a good soldier. I mean, he fought through bad injuries year after year after year. All these losses piling up. And then when he wanted out, he even went quietly and professionally to the Lions and said, hey, look, I would love... He
wasn't even sure he wanted to ask the question.
Yeah, he was too nice to ask the question. Then they branded it. They sent him to L.A., and now he's just winning a ton of football games and winning playoff games. They should have blown out the Bucs. Sean McVay got a little too conservative there. And then the 49ers are just a good team. It's a conference championship game. It's going to be tough. I mean, they have looked like a way more dominant team in this playoff run than I think we're giving them credit.
Will Brinson, I should have said off the top, I was so eager to ask you what your LA life was like. He is a CBS Sports senior writer. He is host of the Pick Six podcast. He is a friend of the program as well. Let me ask you this, Will. If you had to win Sunday, regardless of what they have around them, take that out of it. If you have to win Sunday, who would you rather have, Matt Stafford or Joe Burrow?
Well, as a Matthew Stafford truther, this hurts, but I'm not fading Joe Burrow. The dude just wins big games, Jim. I think right now the stat is currently in games that he has to win, dating back to LSU, because you got the Bama game of the regular season, have to win that or else you're out of the the
Dude,
conference.
I bet if we went back to 4th grade.
Yeah, it's like 9-0 with 31 touchdowns, no interceptions, or no, maybe 1 interception now, and 3,500 passes. I mean, the numbers are insane. It's like a season's worth of production from Joe Burrow in these must-win games. He beats Georgia in the conference championship, beats Ohio State, right? Or no, beats Clemson, then beats whoever he beat. He beats Oklahoma, then Clemson. That's what it was. Then he takes care of Baltimore, Kansas City, and then he rips off this playoff run. And when he's dead, 21-3, he still finds a way to win the game. It's unbelievable.
It's incredible. I mean, in fact, I would make the argument that as long as that guy's still upright, and that's rarely the case behind that offensive line,
half upright,
half upright, he's got a puncher's chance. But man, they were dead in the water at 21-3. I mean, I have never been as convinced of anything as I was that they were dead at 21-3, but they weren't. How much did they show you in the adjustments they made, the way they came back, and that they did not give in? Because they never do.
Yeah, credit to the defense and Lou Anarumo for the changes he made. I heard Sam Hubbard talking on Chris Long's Greenlight podcast. Great podcast, dude. Love sharing podcast wealth. And Sam Hubbard said what they did in the second half, they were dropping 8. You can see it on the film. And the idea was they'd try to rush Mahomes early on, and it just didn't work. And he was breaking contain and getting those scrambles. And so they said, all right, let's let's play to contain him more now, and we're going to try and limit his scrambling. And then once Mahomes got back there, and there's all these guys playing these zone coverages on the back end, Mahomes is holding the ball too long, and they had guys designed with assignments to shoot up and get him once he was sort of back there and contained and sort of flustered.
Will Brinson, my guest. I'm not saying this means anything at all. It's just an observation. When I was on the field before that game, I saw a few things I thought were a little bit not out of character, but you see Zach Taylor, he's up on the sideline with his wife and kids, and not for 30 seconds either. Like, they were taking it all in.
Really?
They spent a lot of time there. Lou Anarumo walks across the field to talk to Pat Kerwin, who I was with. He looks at me and he says, "Hey, man, really nice to meet you," because we never met before. He goes, "I want to tell you a story about something you said on the radio once."
Whoa.
So I'm blown away by it. And, dude, he's loose. He's loose. And not focused, not focused, but comfortable. And then there's Joe Mixon playing catch with people in the stadium and not for a few minutes. So I'm not saying this means this is why they won or that they were loose, but they were loose and they were confident, but dialed.
I mean, that means something. I mean, like, these guys are walking around, they're comfortable. And I would bet you agree with me, that starts from Burrow. Because this guy doesn't flinch in the wake of a massive game. Like, if he's got a big spot, he's coming in cool and casual. I thought one of the most telling things he did all postseason, Jim, was after that. I guess maybe it was even the first. It was either the first playoff win or when they clinched a division. It was the first playoff win, and they're saying like, "Oh, like everybody's going wild, are you going nuts?" And Joe Burrow's like, "No. This is the expectation here. This is what we are going to do from here on out in Cincinnati." It's like, geez, like, dude, you don't understand. This is Cincinnati. This doesn't happen very often.
He's like, "You don't understand. I'm Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
I'm Joe bleeping Burrow.
Win.
Job not
win.
done.
Yeah,
Job
exactly.
not done." So what about the matchup itself, though, right? Like, the guy is so amazing to me in the punishment and the beating that he takes, and he just keeps getting up. And not only getting up, but making plays. But then again, when it comes to Kansas City, let's be honest, their pass rush is not as fierce as the Rams. No. What about that matchup? How do you see Joe Burrow doing against a Rams pass rush where they do get home and more than one guy does?
My favorite article I've read leading up to the Super Bowl is somebody at PFF wrote this, and whoever wrote it, I can't remember, maybe it was Seth Galina, but I'm not sure. But he specifically said when he tweeted it out, he says, "I'm galaxy braining myself here." And he's like, what if the Rams pass rush actually benefits the Bengals? It's like, what? The idea being the Bengals have to plan to get the ball out so quick.
Like they did in the second half against KC.
Exactly, that it actually neutralizes that pass rush. I don't know if that works, though, Jim, because Aaron Donald, been here before. Von Miller, been here before. Von Miller's got a Super Bowl MVP on his resume. This is a guy who's going to be a free agent, who was not discarded by Denver, but, sent packing in midway through, and he struggled for part of the year for LA. He's come on like gangbusters in the playoffs. He can just get up for one of these games, and I don't know how you can necessarily block, like if you double, triple team Aaron Donald, Von Miller's coming at you. And I just think this pass rush is going to be able to get home more easily than KC's did. I think the Rams, with they're going to come out loose too. I think they throw the ball over the place, and with that defense getting after Burrow, and with look, Zach Taylor's done a great job. That dude runs on first down like it's his life, like his life depends on it, and that's just not going to work against this Rams defense. So I like the Rams in the spot.
We're talking to Will Brinson. And Will, so what about Matthew Stafford? I know you like him quite a bit. Thing is, if you pressure him, he's not as good. He will make mistakes. What about the Bengals? Can they apply enough pressure, rushing 3 guys, rushing 4 guys? I mean, they did a real number on Patrick Mahomes in the second half of that game. Do you think they could have a similar kind of impact against Stafford? Because we know he does not do as well with that pressure.
Yeah, I mean, the problem for them is if they have to blitz. Stafford was number 1 against the blitz in terms of QB rating this year.
I don't know if they have to. Do you think they do?
We're kind of sleeping Andrew Whitworth revenge game here, by the way. Everybody's sort of sleeping on the Whitworth revenge game.
I couldn't love the guy. You're right. You know why we're sleeping on that? Because he's such a great guy, and he doesn't carry that around with him. I wonder how he is physically.
I mean, he's that dude. By the way, I remember seeing that guy when the offseason when he moved from Cincy to LA and Elmo's at the combine. That dude is built like a freaking truck.
Man. He's a monster.
He's a monster.
Little banged up though, but I wonder how. Yeah. But I'm sure come game time.
Yeah, I think with the 2 weeks off, he'll be ready. If that offensive line can protect against the 4, then I think the Rams could dominate. I think they can do it because that Bengals pass rush is good. And like shout out BJ Hill, NC State guy, but and Trey Hendrickson, a beast. Sam Hubbard, awesome. They'll be able to get some pressure, but I just think because of the injuries they've sustained, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. And you saw it against KC in that first half. I mean, they were struggling to get home. Now Mahomes moves better in the pocket than Matthew Stafford does, but if they don't get home quickly against Stafford, with those receivers flooding the secondary, it's going to be a problem.
Will Brinson is joining us. You and I were talking briefly before we came on the air, and we were both kind of awed by the whole notion of gambling. Like, you go back 5 years ago, could you ever have imagined a world in which we live in right now where you can get down on anything and everything? And then what's it like to live in that world for you?
Well, I mean, it was fantastic, first of all. I didn't realize it's gambling's legal here, right?
No,
it's not?
No.
I got an alert from my DraftKings app that was like, hey, you can gamble in your state. I was like, that doesn't
Is that a fact?
Yeah. So I mean,
good luck with that.
Yeah, I didn't think it was, so I was going to try and fire it up on the when we got done here. But we had the Pro Bowl in Vegas, Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they celebrated the end of the season by having the Pro Bowl in Vegas. We were talking about the Tony Romo convention 5 or 10 years ago. They shut down a fantasy football convention in Vegas because it might be bad for the integrity of the game. And now all of a sudden, to start off the year, it's like we've got 5 sports books that are official partners with the NFL. Gamble everywhere. We got, was it the Jamie Foxx commercials? Like,
yeah.
You see it? He's like, hidden overs, hidden unders, covering them spreads. It's incredible. Drew Brees is talking about same-game parlays.
I guess the shock is not that they actually got there, but that it took them as long as it did to get there, given the money involved. But for so long, they were concerned about the integrity of the game. And then somebody put a pencil to it, I think.
Right.
Let's say we can make probably $8 billion every second that we're awake, and then even when we're asleep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and they're like, you know what? We do have a collective bargaining agreement coming up, and we can flex this on the players and figure out how to share the pie a little bit more, and they did it.
All right, so you mentioned you don't want to fade Joe Burrow. So have you been tracking the line this week? What has the line done?
Yeah, so it opened around 3.5 in some spots, and they're actually, it was weird how it opened, and this is what happens now that we got all these legal shops, right? Some places had 3.5. There was a 5 that opened up, and it just got hammered by Bengals.
5.
Yeah, Bengals backers. Creeped up to 4.5. The totals come way down from 50 to 48.5. Probably doesn't come down much more. I don't think the number will slide out from 4.5 too far. If you look
at 4 right now, isn't it?
At 4.5 now.
Is it?
At Caesars anyway.
It was at 4. Okay.
Yeah, it moved from 4 to 4.5 at Caesars. You can still get some 4s out there. Usually like 4 minus 115, so juiced a little bit. 5 and 5.5 are kind of dead numbers. I don't think we'll get to 6. That's just too much.
No way.
Bengals money will come back on it. But I think most of the, you talk to like Kenny White, Todd Furman, our gambling guys at CBS, they all make it 4.5. So it feels like the number's probably just right on. It's something like 10 to 12 of the last Super Bowl winners have they've covered and won outright. So even when the underdog wins, or even when the underdog covers, the underdog usually wins. So if you're backing the Bengals, you want to go ahead and take them on the money line too.
So what are you going to do? If the number is 4.5, how are you going to play that one?
I'm just going to take the Rams. I think the Rams are going to cover. And I know I said don't bet against Joe Burrow. I've been betting on Joe Burrow for the entire playoffs. So
why change now?
I think the Rams just have that defensive line, offensive line advantage. And remember the Super Bowl with the Rams and the Patriots? Yes. Where in the great NFL Films thing where Sean McVay's out there, he's like, hi, Bill, how are you doing? He's like, shaking his hand. And
they're not like that anymore.
No, but Zach Taylor, first time on the stage. And so I think Sean McVay remembers that probably 10 to 15 times per day, maybe per hour. And he has to think about that. I don't think he'll take his foot off the gas as much as he might normally in a spot in the second half. I think they'll keep throwing, and I think that plays into the Rams' strengths and plays against the Bengals' weakness. So I like the Rams to cover here, and I think both teams will be conservative early on. I think the under and first half under are great bets.
I love the Bengals. I love that they're here. I love what they're about. I love them. This is going to sound like a really cheeseball thing to say, but I texted with a Ram last night who wouldn't appreciate it, me saying who it was. He's like, dude, we're locked. We are locked.
That's why I like to
hear.
We are
dialed. We are dialed. We, and it was a collective we. It's not me. Like, we are locked in, and he was pretty emphatic about it. What about that number 48.5? How are you going to play that if that's the number?
Love the under, and I think if anything moves, that comes down a little bit. I think the first half under might have come down from 24 to 23.5, maybe. Still think 23.5. You'd much rather have 24. Obviously, a key number if you get the 3 touchdowns and the field goal. I love the unders in this spot though. McVay is inherently conservative in the second half, and he plays into an under if he has a lead going into halftime. Has that one loss, right, against the 49ers when he's had a halftime lead in his whole career. And Zach Taylor, as I mentioned, first down runs, second down runs, ask Joe Burrow to make some magic on third down. These guys will punt on 4th and short at midfield. They will kick field goals on 4th and short in the red zone. They are inherently both conservative, and I think McVay and Taylor don't want to give too much away by, trying to be aggressive with trick plays, trying to be, push the limits on 4th down and potentially give the other team extra possessions. I think the under is a slammer here.
We are talking to Will Brinson for one more moment. So the Dolphins finally get their head coach, and the reaction on this program, as you might imagine, has been pretty curious. Man, I love the dude. I love his vibe. I love what he's about. I love the way he looks. I love what he says. Where do you come out on that hire? Not that Brian Flores, I want to be very clear about this.
Yeah.
This guy got jammed hard.
Right.
He deserves so much better. If we can put that aside for 1 second, what do you think about the hire?
Oh, I think it's a great hire. I mean, you're talking about look at what's going on in the Super Bowl right now. We have Sean McVay and Zach Taylor. Those guys come from the Shanahan tree. People talk about, friend of McVay when all those hires were made. Well, it's working out for these guys.
Right.
And they're really friends of Shanahan is what they are. Like, what is it now, 5 guys from the 2013 Washington football commandos, commies team, whatever we're calling them now, are now hired as head coaches. McDaniel was the run game coordinator. This guy has been hailed by anybody in the NFL, around the NFL, as someone who knows how to create an offense. We won't know about any of these guys as head coaches, Jim, until they actually do it. There's a lot of different things that come into play. But you look at this, again, on the screen, Washington, Cleveland,
Dude, I love the
Atlanta.
way you keep addressing the screen like the pro that you are. Way to go.
I got a little feedback here.
Yeah.
Return, sorry. And then the 49ers.
My radio listeners don't give a damn, but those who are watching on CBS Sports Network do appreciate it.
Well, hey, got to promote the CBS Sports Network brand.
Got to.
Kyle Shanahan takes this guy everywhere. If Kyle Shanahan is dragging somebody around to every spot that he's going to, that guy is a smart football coach. And, the interesting thing is that he comes from this multiracial background. I don't know if you saw, did you ever see that Deadspin piece that somebody wrote?
I did not see that piece.
The guy, new Deadspin sucks, obviously, but the guy wrote, he's good. Mike McDaniel doesn't deserve a head coaching gig. They need to look and be more diverse in how they operate it. And then they had to add an editor's note. We have come to find out that Mike McDaniel is actually biracial. It's the guy talked about it in a great interview with NBC Bay Area, Matt Mayako did, and McDaniel said how being from that biracial home actually it got him more into football and how he learned to embrace different cultures and all of this different stuff. I think he's a way more thoughtful guy than most people understand. Going to be an interesting hire there, man.
I couldn't agree with you more. I can't wait to hear what he's going to say next. I can't get enough of the guy. I love listening to the guy, and I would say right before you came by, Elijah Mitchell came on the program. He loved him.
Yeah.
He loved him. And that tells you everything you need to know right there.